welcome back to the 20th episode of the Punksylvania Podcast. I'm here with Terry and Laura, and this week we have Rose from Lionhearted Media, Rue Girl Productions, and Rue Girl Records, and we're going to talk about all things in her world of ska. So let's get at it.
I wanna go to Camp Punksylvania. I wanna go to Camp Punksylvania.
Hey everyone, we are here with Rose. She's basically the boss lady of everything behind the scenes. Lionhearted Media, Rude Girl Productions, Rude Girl Records, you name it, she's got it. What's up, Rose?
You know, I'm trying to get my life over here, and I'm really, really stoked to be doing this interview with you guys.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, we're happy to have you for sure.
Can we talk about our matching shirts really quick?
Big ups to the bad ups. We're huge fans, and actually,
but wouldn't it have been hilarious if I sat down in mine as well?
Yes, that would have been amazing.
I'm big on matching.
I have my Gremlin shirt on. I'm like, I don't even know what I have on today.
Triplets.
And I think if we all go to a festival, one of us is definitely going to lose our phone, so we might as well wear coordinating shirts so we can spot each other.
They should have like reflectors on them.
I always wear rainbow fishnets because I'm really short and then I'm easily found.
That is true. The first time I hung out with Bree, she knocked on my hotel room door and I opened it up and I was like, bitch, yes. Like, she had these beautiful, like, neon rainbow fishnets on, and she's like, you want to smoke a joint? Yeah. Did you love when that happens? You're like, yes, the stars have aligned.
Friends ever since.
Bree, I definitely see you as a day saver. You know what I mean? Like, you always know what to do or what to pull out of your purse just to, like, nail it.
Well, I have 4 kids, bitch. I have to.
Yeah,
like
it's all about survival at this point.
Yeah.
Most of life is trial and error, I've found.
Oh, that's all a parenting for sure.
As well as reverse engineering things, and usually you have to use the trial and error to reverse engineer things. At least that works for me.
I just do a lot of error. A lot of
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm just an error, but that's okay.
Right.
It's so great to be on a panel with all punk rock girls who are all so positive and involved. This is a very different type of interview for me, usually because I'm not used to being interviewed myself, and it's so great to be on an all-girl panel.
Well, thanks.
It's so
refreshing. I'm sorry, go ahead, Terry.
Well, it's so important for women in the punk scene. We're out there. There's a lot of us. Like, look at it, just us, and the amount of people we've been able to grow. And I find the women in the scene are actually like growing and coming out more and just, you know, embracing the scene. And it's not about like I'm here because I'm with my boyfriend at a show. They're actually going to shows alone.
Right. And these bitches are smart.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the women that we put in to like help on the camp team and stuff, like they know their shit. Like these are assets just to the community in general, I would say.
Absolutely. I find that there's a talented person who's only good at one thing. Usually people who are good at things are good at multiple things. And speaking of, the reason why I kind of got started in all of this was I started out filming shows. And I had connections in a way to where I could usually get passes or usually get some sort of setup where I could film it from a good angle without getting bumped around or knocked over, but that does happen too.
Sure.
But a lot of times I would go to a lot of shows by myself, and I felt more comfortable being engaged in some sort of activity or work. And so I started filming, and because of my past in television, film, and modeling, I know how to run a camera, I know how to set up composition on a shot, I know how to edit everything, and I had been looking around, and there's not a lot of good footage of shows. Maybe if a band hires a videographer and takes them around with them, but if you Google a band or look them up on YouTube and you want to see them live, usually it's like
it's my camera because I'm short in the crowd trying to.
It's a pragmatic thing for me because I also am a little bit skittish. I'm kind of an anxious person, so not so much that I won't go to a show by myself, but I found that if I was kind of off in my corner doing my thing, I was much more engaged and less nervous about where I was. So that's kind of how everything got rolling. And it's
actually really similar to my story because I separated from my husband and I started Punksylvania around the same time, started going to shows by myself. And it gave me a reason to be there. I was interviewing bands, and then I wasn't just like this weird middle-aged woman getting drunk at the bar by myself. You know what I mean? Like I was still that woman. It's fine. But
we all have to get that first wedding out of our system, I think, and then we're good. Yeah.
I feel like we all know that a little too well. What are you gonna do? It's life, though, and I guess it brought us all here. I guess, right? So,
sure.
Trial and error
again. What have I been saying like all year? It's all about balance, you guys. It's all about balance.
Everything in moderation.
We're going into November already, and I don't even know what happened with like the most boring kind of like stuck in time year ever. It also kind of went in fast forward. I'm not really sure how that happened.
Isn't that wild? I was just saying that today at work. I'm like, I can't fucking believe we're about to like dive into the holidays here. Like for us at work, it's holiday season. The drug reps are back. All the shit hits the fan, and I'm just like, where did our boring lives go? Like, did we get used to that?
I mean, it's sort of come back. I mean, in San Francisco, we're almost back to normal because the city has been very, very careful about regulating things. And because we had the AIDS epidemic here, our local government knew what to do, I think, more than other geographical areas. And we were able to contain it, I think, faster than a lot of other areas, even though we're like the second densest city, I think, besides New York City. So I'm not back to life to normal where I'm not going to shows, obviously, but I'm not hanging out at bars. I'm kind of glad I have that out of my system, actually, you know, some bad habits. I haven't done indoor dining yet, but it's like we're on probation. We can't fuck it up, but we have most of our privileges back. So I'm just trying to lean into the fact that not everybody's so terrified anymore. That's great.
Yeah, Canada kind of is the example of a country that, you know, got its shit together and locked down and got our numbers real low. Now we're in second wave. So we went from having 85 cases, today was 934 cases. And that was maybe span of a month and a little bit. Yeah. So it's quick when it freaking hits, and that's kind of the speed of it. You know, you don't know when it's coming, and when it comes, it hits hard. So they've had to, instead of locking down the whole province, we're kind of going regionally this time and testing those waters and seeing if that can work. I hope so, because, well, you know, that's my friends, my family, my kids, essentially, that are all part of that, you know, the community. So we don't want to see anybody get sick, and hopefully vaccine. I know this shit takes time, but I want it to be safe. That's really the biggest takeaway from it, is that if the doctors and the scientists are telling me that this is safe and that they've studied it and it's okay, I'll take 30. I will take yours. I will take yours.
Carrie, I would love to see you do that every moment of my life for the rest of my life.
Like the Macarena of COVID vaccination.
Because I think it's birthday. Thinking critically, I think COVID just had a birthday. So happy birthday, COVID!
Right? It had actually, yeah, right. Isn't this like COVID's actual birthday? Like
coming
it popped before it really exploded. You know, it was right around this time.
Mm-hmm. And ironically,
in like farmland, Pennsylvania, so like nothing really changed here for us. You know what I mean? Like people still don't wear masks at the store.
That's
like we're just now seeing cases in our county where we haven't had any, like definitely under 20, I would say.
Wow, that's wild.
Yeah,
it's
but
funny how
awesome,
changed. Like I almost never come home without toilet paper if I go to the grocery store. I'm a little bit traumatized from those. I will never forgive people for the first 3 weeks of quarantine. And my birthday was in the first 3 weeks of quarantine. And Laura Rose, you're my Scorpio, so I know you have a birthday coming up soon. And I'm so glad that you get to do something.
I'm a Scorpio too.
I live by myself. My birthday was April 12th, which was Easter. So it was right in the thick of
Middle
everybody.
of all the shit.
What are we gonna do? And so I filled my house up with balloons. I put on an outfit, you know. I did the Barstool Pre video for what's the song called, When the World Ends. So that was a fun activity.
Oh yeah, is that the one we did?
We
too?
were together. We did that. Bree was stranded at my house for like
10 days.
I was getting maybe a little more than that, actually.
It was a long time. I wrecked my car coming home from her house and had to go back to her house.
Being a positive thing, I had Zoom calls with my friends, and like we can really handle much more than we think. We're very resilient.
I have actually connected with people that I haven't talked to in years because we're all like, well, fuck, we have nothing to do. You want to chat? You know?
Absolutely.
My house got painted. I was so happy. Finally, after 9 long years of being here, I finally painted the whole top floor. It was done.
Good for you.
Yeah.
I don't know, my kids destroy it. I have not done anything like homey or anything like that since.
Didn't you do your floor and stuff, and then you painted the room purple too? That one room.
Was
You did
that
paint.
was that during quarantine though? I feel like that was right before, maybe. I don't know.
It all.
Ahead of the game.
It all has meshed together at this point.
So what did?
Is the year that quarantine was like added to my autocorrect the same way that misogyny was added to my autocorrect in 2019. You know what I mean? I like the word lockdown a little bit better. As a publicist, I feel like that kind of like glides a little bit easier off the tongue.
I still can't say, or I can't spell quarantine to save my life. So thank God.
I struggle with algorithm, all the like.
Yeah. Or asthma. I can't ever get the M in the right spot. Like, where the fuck does the M go?
No.
Quarantine was an interesting experience for me because my company would not have grown the way that it has because the need popped up where it wasn't there before. And then because I didn't have my day job, my time freed up. So I was always working adjacent to the punk rock industry. I mean, I've been going to shows for 25 years, but what a lot of people don't know, because I don't advertise it online because you get the wrong kind of attention. And also my friends and family are my friends and family, and that's my business and their business, not social media's business.
Sure.
But I was Lars Fredrickson's personal assistant for like almost 2 years. He actually is a neighbor for me, and I was doing other jobs, but I was so busy working for that family, sometimes 6 days a week, that's why I kind of started filming shows at night. I got better and better access, and that was my free time, and it got crazy where I was up at 6 or 7 doing publicity, and then I'd go to my day job around 10, I'd be done around 4 or 6 or whatever, come back, do my job until 12 or 1, and I feel like I was just almost about to snap when all of the COVID stuff happened. And then all of a sudden, I was feeling a need because there were all of these bands who, without shows and touring, did not know how to keep their momentum going. And because of my education background and my work background, I was able to step in and say, this is exactly how we do this. And I was very fortunate that bands like the Slackers and Mike Gallo from Agnostic Front, Bishop's Green, immediately gave me chances, which the Slackers are known for. If you really talk to people in ska and reggae, they come up a lot as they let us open for them. They gave us a shout out. They really helped us. And so part of the reason why I'm a little bit tardy today is because I had to take a call for them. And I always say I'll do anything for the Slackers. Right. But they've been with me since like day 1, minute 1. And it's been great experiencing this year with them because they're probably the only people who work harder than me. And it's really great just to be amongst so many people who have done so much for our community. And I really hope to emulate them moving forward.
They've put up actually quite a bit of stuff. Their live streams have been incredibly busy. It feels like every other week I'm seeing there's a Slacker show coming on. So that's, a testament to people are actually craving for the stuff and watching it. Every time I do wind up watching it, that chat room is full. People are just talking and, they're having a great time. So that's pretty awesome when, being able to be a part of that scene and putting out content because people are craving it right now. It's that simple.
For sure. I think the Slackers have really pioneered this whole live stream movement. I really give them a lot of credit for being, they really have no concept of how impactful they've been on people. And as somebody who sees a lot of feedback and talks to a lot of people, I'm constantly reminding them, like, do you know who you are? And do you know what you've done? They lack ego in the way to where if I pitch them an idea, or if their booking agent pitches them an idea, or if one of the band members has some kooky idea, they're not so in their head or so in their ego that they won't at least try it. They know that the worst thing that happens is that they don't have to do it again. But with their panels and their music lessons, their Sunday Slack streams, literally since quarantine started, because I've been involved with them since late January, they have shown up for their fans every single week. And I have not seen that from any other organization, band, or anybody. And so I really look up to them a lot because they provide a really great testimony and example about doing what needs to be done for the greater good and something bigger than yourself, because they just really love making music that much.
And that's awesome.
Well, probably why they've been around forever.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, I feel like everybody knows who everybody knows who the Slackers are. Even if you don't even listen to like that kind of music, everyone's like, oh, yeah, I think I've heard of that band before. You should love that band.
Now, what does a typical day do look like now that you're in lockdown and you are working with bands? Like, you kind of get to help them plan and see their direction as to where they want to take their music? Is it just a matter of holding off and seeing if this will over, or putting out content? Like, kind of how does that go when you're talking with them?
A typical day for me is interesting because it's the same thing every day, but it's a different day every day in terms of my tasks and my challenges. And I have the additional, I additionally have to come up with creative things on a constant basis. So if I have 5 clients that I need to post for that day, I have to make sure that the content goes out at the right time, that it is different than the last piece of content that I put out for them, that it's mirroring their goals and where they want to move towards, and that it's also comprehensive, that it is complete, that it's succinct, that it's getting the message out there. So if somebody is scrolling, they'll stop and they'll look. Sometimes my days are meetings heavy, where I have to take Zooms, phone calls, chats, whether with clients or with people who are inquiring. Sometimes I'll look at my phone and go, because I have to do damage control, and there's all sorts of things that come up with band dudes, be it drama or accidents or delays or things not going the way that they think. I'm always like, okay, well, here's our options. Damage control is a big one. I basically get up around 6. I try to get up East Coast hours. Mainly I try to get up with the Slackers. And then with my West Coast clients, I start doing their stuff a little bit later, but it's an undulation of being in my editing suite, creating reels, doing original content, emails, messages, meetings, writing copy, and just posting. And the day goes by. And I have to remember, like, make yourself some food, do some yoga. Dogs want to go outside. Oh, pet the dog. But it's a pace that I'm used to and that I love. And I'm very, very fortunate. I'm very, very lucky in the sense that I was able to corner a need and be able to help people in the time that they needed it the most.
That's awesome. Now, if this, do you kind of see this carrying into COVID? Has this, actually you spoke about shows and filming, and I was in television for a long time too, so I kind of get that talent. The idea of getting your camera in the right angle, not to get bumped, is almost impossible in a live show. I do have to ask, as a fellow producer, what kind of tricks do you use to not have that happen to you? Because I would love to know. I always seem to get smashed really good, and doesn't matter how far back or how high up. What is your secret?
challenging. I'm kind of a hyper-aware person just by nature, and I encounter a lot of issues where the crowd is not always friendly. And because I am not the usual type of person that you see in the press pit, I don't have the stereotypical look or body mass, and I'm 5'7", so I'm not necessarily a petite person, but I'm not necessarily a large person who takes up a lot of space. So I encounter the issue of people not taking me seriously, people kind of walking all over me or pushing me out of the way. And as I continued to do it and I'd go to shows over and over again, I also encountered a problem where people would see that I was shooting and they could see that I was professional with my pans and my angles, but then they'd try to come and stand where I'm standing.
I think that's anything they do.
Right. And most of the time it's not really a problem, but every once in a while I really have to assert myself and dominate my space because I'm there for my client and my client doesn't really care about my excuses. So if it's a matter of me asserting myself so that I can do the job that I was meant to do, or trying to make myself a little bit more comfortable for a selected amount of time around some jerk who I'll probably never see again, I choose to do what I need to do for my client. I'm also known, I'm really into yoga, I'm an athlete. I'm also known for my Gumby, bendy, flexy moves because I just stand. I could put a tripod up very easily, but I try to do almost like a documentary type experience where if I know the songs especially, I'll pan to the right person and then I'll do swoop shots and I'll do dip shots, and a lot of it is to make my own footage look more interesting for me. But I'm very, very picky about composition and framing and steadiness, and you'll see me and I'm bent halfway backwards, or I'll be perching on the edge of the stage nearly falling off, or like leaning against some pillar. I'll do what I need to do to get the shot. And in my position, that's basically the only thing that you can do is just say, I'm here for the quality of my work, not for you. Yeah.
Females in television are actually quite rare, having been in a television, especially in the producer side of television. I worked with a crew of, I think it was 8 men and me. And then my crew for out, like my camera and stuff, were all males. I've only ever worked with guys when it comes to television because they were known to be big. I'm 5'7", 130 pounds. These arms are like these guns, non-existent. I can do all the yoga I want, but there's nothing. So it really is having to assert yourself really strong on top of these people, because people will stand in front of your shot and they will knock you the fuck out, and it gets kind of annoying too. But yeah, try to be professional. And
I'm 5'3", so
jab them out of the way.
I'm gonna have height on my side, you know.
But I guess my question,
I don't have even any of that.
as a female in the scene, you know, do you find any challenges towards your counterparts when it comes to, you know, maybe having to be more assertive, or has everybody really been rallying behind you? Because they're giving you chances and shots and great, and you're putting out great content. So people are definitely loving your work.
It's a little bit of both, because I'm a woman of color, and one of my biggest lessons is to not take things personally, because people treat you the way that they treat you because of who that they are, not necessarily who you are. There's a quote by Rumi that says, what you meet in somebody else is a reflection of yourself. And so if I took everything personally, if I took every person who didn't take me seriously, or every person who mansplained to me, or every person who I had to tap dance for, or continue to prove myself to, or work 3 times as hard as, or get snubbed by, or get ripped off, or have my work plagiarized or copied, or all of that stuff happens. But I've come to expect it, because not all people are me, and they don't think like I do, and they don't act like I do. And a lot of it is as simple as, bless their hearts, people are not used to seeing people like me in positions of authority, in the press pit, as videographers. I do all of these masculine jobs and masculine tasks, and I have a very masculine personality where me asserting myself or speaking up or sometimes even presenting other options can be perceived as a different way because they're not used to somebody like me behaving that way. And so they feel challenged by it, regardless of my intentions or if it was anything really to even interpret that way. So I've also learned to be mentally bendy flexy, bend over backwardsy, because it's not like people wake up in the morning and say, oh, you know that publicist girl, I'm just going to give her a really hard time today. No, but something I say every single day, didn't really think that one through, did you? And people do what they know, and a lot of the times they just react. So I try to reverse engineer and say, why is this person coming at me this way? And how can we mitigate it to the point where we're meeting in the middle? And 90% of that time, that approach works, but it's my acceptance of the fact that things will not always go smoothly that really kind of keeps things lubricated and undulated. And I really hope that when our kids grow up and choose positions like what we have, they will not have to experience so much abrasion.
Yeah.
Because people have been used to watching people like me doing what they aspire to do.
Yeah, it's nice to see careers now actually come in with more inclusion training, and that's, you know, people of color, women, people with disabilities. It's nice to see that acceptance, because as a woman in a scene that was part of a very male-dominated scene, anytime I would make a request, it would be too direct. And that would, you know, I kind of had to work 3 times harder just to prove that, no, I can do this, and my requests are more than reasonable. I remember,
Yes.
you know, and
One of my previous jobs.
Pardon?
Was, I'm gonna say one of my previous jobs is I was a project manager for a demolition company. So
Oh boy.
I was the little tiny chick with a hard hat bossing around 50 felons. You know what I mean?
It's a trip because in a backstage environment at any given show, I'll have a wide variety of experiences just depending on who's there, where I can start to film and then the security will try to kick me out of the press pit because they thought I snuck in, and then I'll show them my sticker and then they'll still give me a hard time just to not
Assert.
you know. Or I'll go backstage and I'll get one guy being like, hey, can you get me a beer, sweetie? Do you know if the pizzas are coming soon? Can you check on that for me? And then I'll have 3 other guys kissing up to me, following me around, asking me all and it's such a mind fuck, because most of the time I'm just trying to mind my own business. I'm not the thought. I'm not somebody's girlfriend. You know, like I'm there doing my own thing. And in my opinion, they can get used to it because I'm lovely. I will get you a beer. I will tell you when the pizza's coming. But I will also make sure that the reel gets turned around and your band looks badass, because I don't take it personally. You are who you are. Bless your heart. It's the job I chose.
Yeah, and I feel like we have this conversation all the time. Band dudes are band dudes, and band chicks are band chicks. So like you're a certain person, and it's a great thing. But that's what A&R is for, and PR is for. You know, it's like, you know, you're a band mom. You're your babies. You got to take care of your babies. Everybody needs a little bit of guidance, and I feel like we are babies in this too. This the pandemic has been crazy for us too, but we're starting to kind of do a little bit of the same thing. You know, the bands that are on our lineup for, you know, that were on our 2020 lineup and now on 2021, we're like, oh honey, what do you mean you don't have a website? What do you mean you don't have an Instagram? Let us help you, you know?
Well, and the thing about public relations in punk is I'm not the only publicist, but I'm one of the only publicists that's completely independent, and I'm not on salary with a label, or I don't work for some sort of booking agency. Like, I'm completely just autonomous. And not everybody can be good at everything.
That's right.
Even if they're multi-talented. Like, there can be guys who play 11 different instruments, but when it comes to writing copy and social media and the mindset and the habits that it takes to be consistent with that, they don't have those skills. But in that case, it's not necessarily their job to be some social media expert. It's their job to be creative. However, it's up to them to decide how to delegate the type of support they need. And the Slackers, for example, they're so busy and they put out so much stuff that I can hardly keep up with them. So sometimes it's a matter of I help people with spelling and grammar and all of their, I do so much. There's so much copy out there, you see, that was written by me that you would never know. I do a lot of ghostwriting for people. Some people have no interest in being on their phone every day. Some people do not have the business education and have to keep coming to me to say, is this a good deal? Is this legit? And then even just the platforms themselves, you can't use YouTube the way that you use Facebook. You can't use Facebook the way that you use Twitter. And if you're just freeballing it, you're wasting a lot of time. So I try to guide them the way to get them to their best potential, depending on what they want, what they need, what's going on in their life, and the type of support that they need. So it's not that people are inept, they're just better at other things, and then I can come and pick up the slack.
I say as a project manager, it's my job to know enough about each section where I can find the people that I need to put in to do the task. Like my job isn't to know 100% of every area. I just need to have my foot in every single little pot so I can be like, okay, obviously Laura is way better at the social media than I will ever be. And that's her area. You know what I mean? And I'm not taking credit for like putting her in that position or anything like that. But like, I recognize that she's going to be way better than that than I'll ever fucking be. And what Terry does with this podcast, there's no way I could fucking do that. You know,
the cool thing too is, it's not like our tasks are just solely for us. Like if we all have access to our social media, once in a while, Brie will throw something up or Terry will throw something up. And I love that we can kind of do all of that together, but still have like you said, kind of, you've got your foot in all those pockets because you want to be readily available for whatever needs that somebody might have, whether you can be the biggest help for them or you can maybe just point them in a better direction or somebody who can specialize a little better for them. I feel like that's what we do. I feel like we're good at that. Because we're getting better at that.
Media. I hate the social media aspect. So I'm like, do you, boo? That's all, I hate it.
What I took away is really the compromising piece, right? Like having to not necessarily believe in what they're doing, but finding that middle ground. Anytime you can find that middle ground, and I say it all the time, nobody wins, but nobody loses either. And it's so important. We're kind of in a time where people are just like, I gotta win or I gotta be better than you. And to hear you actually speak and say like, no, we are all here, but it's finding that middle ground, that common ground where magic can happen. It's fantastic. There must be, I kind of wonder if there's a story behind that. Is there kind of like a time where maybe it wasn't always trying to find the middle ground, or are you just like a person that's been like, I want to say like impact. I have a hard time with this word.
Impact?
Please.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And I've had a life experience where I've had opportunities and legitimate things slip through the cracks for me because I didn't have the support and encouragement that I needed. So looking back at that, I love to pay that forward by, I have a unique talent for spotting talent. I have an eye for being able to look at a big picture and say, I can see this going somewhere, not just because they sound good or they talk good or they look good or they say the right things, but because this is actual potential. And the punk rock community was like my first home. I was textbook runaway at 16, my first safe spaces were hanging out with motley crews of like punks, skins, crusts, hippies, chaos punks, rude, random. There's always one random rockabilly guy, always.
Mine was always the random hippie that would always be
every Rancid song, like all these set lists were from Rancid. Every Rancid song from like Let's Go and Out Come the Wolves, because I've always lived in the San Francisco Bay Area. I was born in San Francisco. I'm Rude Girl Carol on the 43 bus. I mean, that all of that was my life experience. So I feel protective over our community. And I've been able to come back to it with a life experience to be able to say, not only can I fill a need, but I have the backbone and the personality to be able to say, you deserve better than this. You are capable of more than this. I want you to push yourself. And I compare it a lot to sports because I'm very athletic. And when you think about a great team, you think about their coach too. And even though the coach is not out on the field playing with them, they're constantly huddling up to figure out where to go. And if they make a mistake or if they fail, it's that coach who picks them up and pushes them back out there, who also reminds them, you need to eat well. You need to get more sleep. You need to stop fucking with that girl. You need to go to therapy, because they care about what's going on in their lives for the greater whole. I feel very, very passionate about it. I've never had any kids. I'm not one of those I want to have a baby type people. And it all came full circle where it's like, I'm a band mom. I look after an entire community. And I'm not giving myself more credit than I deserve, but for the people that I work with directly, I am extremely invested in their potential and in their future and in helping them reach their highest potential however I can. And that's why you also only see me with a select group of clients, because I want to make sure that I can serve people the way that they need and not dilute that because I'm trying to be extra or I'm in it for the money or anything like that. Like, this is where I've always been, and this is where I've always will be.
That's refreshing that, you're talking about not diluting bands. Like, that's such a great example of, taking too much on and then not giving everybody the proper attention that they need. And awesome job trying to find that balance, because, I'm in my almost 40 and I'm still trying to find that balance, even though I find it is getting easier because I am being more assertive to kind of what my goals are now these days. But it took a long time to get there, and to hear you, I know you're younger than me, so to hear you actually talk about it and like emulate it, that's fantastic. So congratulations to you. Like, I do check out your stuff and it's really good stuff.
Thank you. I mean, there's that saying, the whole point is the process. And 10 years ago, I was modeling full time. I was a centerfold. I had a big career at kink.com. And I learned the hard way by having agents who talked all this big game and didn't end up doing anything for me. Or it's not that they go, oh, screw that girl, but they'll leverage you against the other clients, and it's never what it turns out to be. It never ends up paying off for you. It always just pays off for the agent. And then through modeling, I got into television and just lack of representation. And I still am a freelance producer with our local TV syndicate. I still do on-air stuff as like a freelance producer at large. And the fact that I am a biracial, queer, tattooed woman of color who is single and childless on TV with a microphone in the Bay Area is phenomenal to me, because I had absolutely zero role models growing up. There was nobody who looked like me. There was nobody who had a story like me. There was nobody that I could relate to. Again, relating to people. And so I definitely came up from an experience of trial and error and seeing what worked and didn't work and how people treated each other. And I definitely said, I'm never going to do that. I'm never going to say that. I'm never going to treat people like that. And really what works, just like with exercise and athletes, is the constant contribution every day and being good to people so that you build long-lasting relationships and people have your back. And it sounds so simple and so easy, but depending on who you are, you can struggle with that. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, the biggest demons are your own inner demons, for those who have struggled, either it being through ego or addiction or anything. Those can actually be incredibly strong. I'm a very big advocate for mental health and getting that help when needed. And I'm sure you've had the conversation, especially in the music scene, that, you may have to take a step back and go get some help. And how do you kind of navigate those talks when they do occur? Without obviously telling us. who they are or anything like that.
Saying a lot to lots of different types of people is that it's not like there's anything going on in the world right now or that we're adjusting to anything, first of all. But everybody has moments where their mind is just eating them alive. It's natural. We can't do anything about it. The people around us can have the best intentions and try to lift us up and support us. But sometimes we just get into places where things seem impossible. And that's okay. We don't have to be harder on ourselves because we're not at a neutral baseline that we find acceptable. But the important thing is to not believe ourselves when we start thinking that way, because it's not necessary. Like if you stub your toe, it hurts really freaking bad. Or if you have a sunburn, if somebody goes, hey, you're like, bitch. But it's because you have a sunburn. So you're, so sometimes it's really important to feel the way you need to feel. And just remember that you're not going to feel that way forever, and feeling that way doesn't define you, because I'm very vulnerable online. I don't necessarily post my business, but if I need to post a poem or some song lyrics or some meme that I relate to because it gets it out of my system, that's how I process things. That's just me. But other people can get very caught up in image, wanting everything to look clean, wanting everything to look flawless, wanting everything to look business. And I have to go, is that really you though? Because yes, you are a brand. I am a brand. I'm heavily branded, but that's because I know who I am down to the core of my values. Because the core of your values is your barometer for everything else, including your character. So would you treat somebody the way that you're speaking to yourself right now? If that's true, you wouldn't be fucking with me. I wouldn't deal with you. So if you feel that way, I can see why you would feel that way. But just remember that you don't have to believe that, and you don't have to feel that way tomorrow, and you don't have to feel that way next week. It's just right now. It's not forever, And I'm no Dr. Phil, but the perspective of it, I find helps people to just have the encouragement to kind of hang on.
Yeah, there's always tomorrow, right?
Always a different day is what I always say.
Yeah, And so again, sometimes with damage control, a lot of it is people need the emotional support. And you could have the best people, the best family, the best spouse, but if they don't know how to emotionally support you, there's always going to be kind of like that limp in your life. And so I definitely have a talent of providing perspective and encouragement. And so instead of being like a empath people pleaser who gets walked all over all the time, I focus it to the people who really deserve it. And then I don't feel so burnt out all the time. I'm tired, I work a lot, but just like being a parent, it's very rewarding. I love seeing my bands shine and succeed and play and get comments and likes and kill it. It's just like, it's not about me. It's better when it's somebody else.
And we get that too, because we always say our camp bands. They're not really.
I was just going to say that. It's like, like for example, when Working Class Stiffs announced that they were going to be putting their album out on vinyl, I was like, my babies.
Right.
So
but that's what I was sort of
so
Punksylvania. I was going to all these local shows. There was all these amazing bands that nobody knew about. And I was like, well, this is bullshit. Like, the world needs to know about them. And then I met these chicks, and here we are.
I mean, if the slackers have no concept of how adored and cherished and impactful they've been over the past 25 years, imagine, this new up-and-coming band full of kids who don't necessarily know how to structure their day, who don't necessarily know how to professionally reply to an email. And then I come in and say, yo, you don't have to know those things right now. I got your back with that, but don't fuck it up, Answer your phone. Are you okay? I have good news. Didn't really think that one through, did you? I know it seemed like a good idea at the time.
It always seems like a good idea at the time.
With your hands and really look.
And really, that will be the survival of our scene too, is if we're encouraging our youth. I know I have 2 kids, 5 and 9, and they're very, for the most part, heavily involved in the scene where they can be. I try to, and they actually do talk music to their friends and be like, have you guys heard about the Aquabats? They just came out with a new song, and all their friends are like, JoJo Siwa? I don't know. So, especially in the punk scene, it being so small, we do have to encourage our youth to keep it going, because without them, there's no scene it 10 years from now.
Well, and it's important to me too to teach these young girls like just how to be at a show, like how to watch your own back, because it's important.
Yeah.
Like I didn't have that chick looking out for me when I was, 18 years old, but I did have a gang of guy friends that looked out for me and like taught me how to look out for myself. You know what I mean? So like that's important for me with like what we do too, is like taking these young girls and like, just like help them flourish as well.
For sure. And when we're kids, it's like the blind leading the blind. And sometimes it still is,
I was going to say, listen.
That was Laura.
I've had interesting experiences where I think sometimes to the more creative side guys who are in bands and the guys who are less experienced in business, sometimes I might come off as a little bit intrusive or nosy, where I'm like, let me know what's going on. Did you talk to that dude? What's going on with that? What's the percentage of that? What's the numbers of that? What did he say? How did you feel about that? And it's not because I'm trying to insert myself in the situation, but because I'm a publicist, I'm privy to information that civilians are not. I hear about things, I'm notified about things, I read things, I'm sent things, people give me tips about things. And so I had a situation recently where I woke up and looked at my phone, and it was like 2 of my clients got into a sticky situation with somebody who was actually a former client. And if the client in the middle of the situation had come to me and said, hey, these guys have approached me, this is what they said, this is what I'm finna do, I would have said, I would not suggest that you tie your name to that person. That person should be paying you for what they're asking you to do. And then, did you know that they also asked my other client about the same thing, got a price, and then they had you do it for free? And so not only can I make a better deal, negotiate more money, create better boundaries, make it more lucrative for my client, but I can also say like, no, don't. And it's not a personal thing, like, oh, like we had drama, we had a Facebook fight and I don't like him. It's always like, it's not good for your image, it's not good for your pocketbook, it's not good for your mental health, And so a big part of my job is protecting people, almost like a lawyer would on retention, and say, you can choose to do that, but you also have these other options, and this is why I would advise you to go this way.
Yeah.
And I get mad too. I get mad too if like people mess with my clients. They're like, nice emoji.
Yeah, you don't really think about the boundary aspect when it comes to, managing or even helping PR and helping them create those boundaries, because when you're being like, offer, do this, do that. Oh, we need this, we need that. You don't really take the time to just kind of look at what the future of it is. Just really you're at the present. And I'm like, I really appreciate how you're actually setting these boundaries up, because they really do need some guidance when it comes to that. Because I can only imagine being in a band, because I'm not in a band, let's just make that one clear. Terrible singer.
Really? You had me fooled this whole time?
Terry, what have we been doing?
Wow.
Karaoke though? Ooh.
Oh. I'm sure if the mood sets me well, I would maybe sing some Queen, but we'll see about that.
Oh shit.
Oh, I need to hear it.
Shit.
Oh yeah.
You sing a very nice The Vandals. But anyway,
We are actually just about at our hour. So Rose, where can we find all your awesome stuff?
I'm mainly on Instagram and Facebook. I am at The Boss Rude Girl on all platforms, including Twitter, TikTok, and YouTube. So add me wherever you're at. I also have at Lionhearted Media on Facebook. And if anybody is curious about what I do, I really encourage you to click around my IGTV, click around all the different things that I've posted, because it's not just the girl who manages punk bands. I do a lot of other things too, and my content is very entertaining, especially if you're having a bad day. Look at my stories if you want to see a funny meme and you want to laugh, or you want to do inside joke, or just hit me up. I may not be able to get back to you right away, but if you have any questions about anything that we've talked about today, I'm an open book. Just be nice.
Fair enough.
And that because their first single on vinyl is our first release on Rude Girl Records. We're supposed to have it by now. There was a delay. Not in our control, but it's coming. The song is called Pipsqueak, featuring Lenny Lashley from the Street Dogs, and I actually created the label just to put the Bad Up song out. So we have more things. It's me and Cassie from Skabox. We have more things planned. So keep your eyes out for our boutique label that's centered around special projects for women and people of color especially.
Very good. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate your words of wisdom, being in the scene for so long, and really real words of wisdom. Like, you are just a wealth of information. So thank you so much.
People don't talk like me. I mean, you talk to so many people. I mean, I'm surprised to hear that. I mean, you know what I mean. But it's been a pleasure. I'm much obliged. Thank you so much for having me on. It's been a real treat.
Thanks for taking time out of your busy life to sit down with us.
Oh, for sure.
I know, for the second time too, not to mention.
Right. I think second time in a week even, right? I don't think the last one was a week ago.
How lucky are we?
Crackers, and now anything for Punksylvania too. I got you.
Thank you. And likewise.
Thank you so much.
And always, if we miss shit, just hit us up directly and we'll get it out there for you.
For sure. Ladies, thank you so much. Thank God for you. Bless your heart.
Thank you. But in a good way, right?
I wanna go to Camp Punksylvania. I wanna go to Camp Punksylvania.
All right, thanks, Rose. It was really awesome having you on. It was cool to hear about the background stuff and what's happening in the ska scene. So next week we have Cassie from the Ska Box. If you don't know what the Ska Box is, it's a monthly subscription. You get a bunch of goodies. Laura actually did a reveal not too long ago on her Instagram channel, so make sure you go check that out. And actually, if you go on our YouTube, make sure that you subscribe to our channel. Check out our merch store. We still have some teas left. And yeah, we will see you guys later. Make sure you wash your hands and put a mask on. And yeah, see you next week. Bye.